killer in the room. He'll strike again if we don't stop him. Now, if you were here on the day we did the puzzles, you know I was talking about MRSA. That's Methicillin-Resistant Staphylococcus Aureus. It's a bacterial infection when it's left untreated, it can be fatal. So today I'm going to share with you what Methicillin-Resistant Staphylococcus Aureus looks like and what it presents to us on our body and how to prevent it. This is MRSA. Little yellow balls. This is what they look like under the microscope. And these little guys can wreak havoc. They, a lot of antibiotics don't work on them, such as penicillin, because of their cell wall. They can't get through to break what they need to break. And humans are very salty, and MRSA loves salt. So when we sweat, think about MRSA. So now that we know what it looks like, let's see some examples of how it can be dangerous to us. We've all had the 24-hour flu. I know some people have called into work, oh, I'm sick, and then the next day they showed up. Well, I take that a little more seriously now that I know about MRSA, because they, when I'm at the hospital, I see people come in and they have thrown up, and next day they're better. It's just, that could be a MRSA infection. They've ingested something that has MRSA and made them real sick, like flu-like symptoms. Even little kids get impetigo. That's a MRSA infection. In an article titled "Kids and MRSA, Combination Spreading Fast," featured in the Intelligencer, June 28th, 2010 edition by Joe Chevalier. From 1999 to 2008, 1,000 out of 1,000 kids that entered a hospital, that number of kids who have MRSA infection jumped from 2 to 21. That's a startling fact. And it's also prevalent here in Central Florida. Gary Taylor, for the Orlando Sentinel, wrote an article titled "MRSA May Be Linked to Death of Volusia Boy," December 16, 2008. Basically, this kid had been treated for a skateboard injury, and MRSA had gotten into his bloodstream through that wound, which it does. It gets through anything that can penetrate our skin. And his sister, a couple days later, got him up to get ready for school, found the kid dead. So it can be anything from a nuisance, like a boil, to something life-threatening. And now that we know what it looks like, let's talk about how to keep from getting it. Number one, hand washing. You can't stress that enough. You have to wash, like, every day. Sometimes when I'm on the job, I wash 50 times a day. It's almost compulsive, but when you think about the numbers, you can save someone's life. And if you don't have soap and water, my best friend, alcohol. College kids have lots of alcohol, and a lot of grain alcohol can actually eliminate a lot of the bacteria. Stan Freeman wrote "Hospitals Fight Tough Infection." It was an article issued in the Republican, February 7th, 2011 edition. And I thought this was really cool because he's talking about a New England hospital that uses UV pulse. So the sun has a factor in eliminating it. They take an instrument, it's almost like a tanning bed instrument, and they put it in the rooms to be cleaned, and they clean all the bacteria off of all these instruments. And that's something that I never knew until I discovered this article. So, in conclusion, I'd like to say, we've talked about what it looks like under the microscope, what MRSA presents to us on our skin, and different ways that we can prevent from infections. And I'd like to think that we can prevent MRSA from being contagious and have knowledge be more contagious by passing around the word of MRSA prevention. Thank you very much.
Questions for Michri?
Why is it so much more down here? Like so much more than you said?
You mean like in the community?
Or like you said in Florida, something about Florida, how it's...
These are just isolated incidences. I know Alaska has a lot, and I think a lot of it has to do with environmental factors. You know, Florida is very humid, and you tend to sweat a little more. I know that kid who, he was like in football, and he got the same thing. It was in his blood. He died from it. And athletes are very sweaty, so.
Yeah.
And basically sharing items, personal items like towels, toothbrushes, gross, razors. Some countries are more liberal than ours, so you see a lot more prevalent there.
I have a couple, if that's cool.
Yeah, please.
Interesting. So is there a drug or pharmaceutical way to kill the drug? Because I know you said penicillin doesn't really have an effect on it.
That's the treatment. This is after you've contracted. Vancomycin. That is a very big drug.
Okay.
It's an antibiotic. It's basically the big guns. And if you have like a little MRSA infection, it's probably best not to go with that because we have a bank of resistances. Like if you take too many antibiotics, you can become resistant to those antibiotics. So you use it right out of the gate.
Yeah. Where's MRSA typically found? Like, I know common cold is like pretty simple to catch. Like, where's MRSA typically found? Like, besides when you sweat?
In your nose. People who blow their noses and pick their noses and go touch other things. You know, it's not really found anywhere else except on humans, which is strange. And there's a lot of competition between bacteria. So that's why you don't always, even though it's there, you don't always get sick from it.
Nice job, Michri.
Thank you.